Morning guys, hope you're having a lovely Sunday morning. Welcome back to Forest Frame. Okay guys, this week is about post-processing, and it'll be 2 images that I'll be doing some post-processing and just simple adjustments. I hope you enjoy it. Also, obviously doing this video does give me time to move home as well, so while you're watching this video I'll be moving to my new home and I'll be back again a week on Sunday, back in the field. I might do a little tour of the office as well. Anyway, sit back and enjoy and leave some comments. Let me know what you think of these images. And yeah, see you next time. Okay, so the first image is birch trees, and it's a place I visited in West Lothian. It's full of birch trees. These ones look like downy birch. What I liked about these trees is the bareness. Just the life of the tree without leaves, and as you can see it's all mossy, bit of lichen on it, and you can still see in the backdrop there autumnal colours of these kind of leaves up here, and it just gives it a bit of warmth to the image. Now there's a lot of darks in this image, so firstly I'm going to go to develop module. So I'm just going to be using Lightroom in this image. And what I'm going to do firstly is go to the blacks at the bottom here, just pull these up quite low actually, to about there, to about 50, if I can get right on 50, yeah 50 will do it, and pull up the shadows as well, just to recover some of these highlights of the image, and just a little bit of exposure. Just like that, just about 5. Now as you see there, it's kind of pulled over more to the right there, and it was pretty much about here last time. And now what I want to do is just soften the image down a little bit. So go to clarity, just pull down my clarity slider, just about 40 possibly, yeah. And then I'm going to get my saturation, pull that down. Now I'll recover some of that colour, but I'm just trying to, I don't want to make it look too over contrasty. As you see there, the changes I've made so far, there's quite a lot of changes there, so you can see I've took a lot of the contrast out of the image, a lot of blacks out of the image. Now I've not even touched the contrast slider, and if you see the greens, I've muted the greens as I always do, as most photographers do in woodland photography, and just showing you a bit more kind of a palatable image. So this is, before and after this first stage. So go back to the image again. Now one of the things what I should have done firstly is cropped a little bit of the image, and I'm not going to clone anything out this because there's so many branches and things here that if I did clone this part out, it's going to look stupid. It's anything, you'll probably notice the difference. So what I'm going to do, I'd rather do cropping than cloning all day long, and I'm just going to put this to a 4x5. So on there, 4x5, and just bring it back again to about here. I'm not too fussed about this part, and just hit enter. Now so this is more focused on the actual tree itself. And what I'm going to do now is just go down to the colour mixer, and I'm looking at saturation, but I'm not going to touch that at all. I'm just going to go for the luminous. And what I do is, instead of like darkening the images I usually do, is darken the greens. I normally just do that to darken them a bit. I'm going to pull this up and just let these parts punch a little bit, come up. And it's controlling the darks as well, so I'm not too fussed about the darks on the birch tree itself. We're going to use a liner gradient, and what I want to do effectively is get these corners, because they look a bit dark, and just pull exposure just a little bit and darks a little bit, just to correct that. And I'll do the same. So I've kind of pulled up the exposure. I don't need to really take the darks out there, and just putting the exposure up to about 65 there is taking away the sort of natural vignette that the foliage and the trees have created. Now I'm going to go to the other side and use another liner gradient and just pull from this corner. About there, yeah, about there is pretty much fine. And just about the same again, just pulling the exposure up a little bit. And there's not exactly, you don't have to go for a certain number or whatever. When you're getting these things, it's all about your eye, is how it looks, the image looks to you. So in this case, I'm going to pull up a little bit more because it looks still a little bit darker there, and that's about right there. So yeah, effectively just small changes, you can see. So I'm going to close that there, and so expect the image nice and sharp there. There's nothing really to do much there. Yeah, always expect your image, especially the corners. So look at the corners there, it's fine, there's no interference there. And look at the corners at the bottom there. I don't like this part here much, but I don't think it's much a distraction, to be fair. Look at the image. You know these kind of things that they're not really bothering the image as much. And yeah, these corners are fine as well, there's nothing there. So the image is looking good. And I think that pretty much is that. I mean, you don't need to do much to that. This is the kind of image I would probably use Lightroom by itself because it doesn't need any work at all, really. If anything, I want to drag the whites up a little bit. So I'll take the whites, let's have a look here, yeah. Let's take the whites up to about 30. About there. 30, 31 over, that'll do it. So now we're going to do a before and after. And let's have a look and see what the changes we've got. There we go. So the noticeable, of course, straight out of the camera, this is a raw image, and yeah, it's just too dark for me. I reduce the saturation, as you know, as you want to look around the image. A nice soft, gentle palette. I like a soft palette to my images. I don't like it to be too contrasty. There's certain images, you do like contrast in, but this is not one of them because it already has a lot of contrast. So this is kind of fine, I quite like it. So there's nothing much really to do there. I'm not going to use Gaussian blur or anything. I don't think there's need to. If anything, it's going to make it look quite washy, too over processed. And yeah, we'll stick the image on the screen now. Just tell me what you think. Okay, so this image is it's actually quite a nice image, and it's pretty much almost complete in a way that there doesn't need to be any post-processing done to it. It's just an example of making the most of your image, and I'm going to do some subtle post-processing techniques with this, and it's only using Lightroom again. So this time what I'm going to do is it's mainly about light and dark, as you can see here, and the image itself, there's the highlight of the image is a birch tree, and you can see of course the golden light going across the tree itself, but there is some distractions. Up here we've got a bit of the hill showing. There's no foliage there, so it's bare, but right next to that you've got a birch tree which is half cut off there. Everything else is quite in darkness. There's a bit of light up there, and there's a tree coming out the side there which can be maybe softened down a bit. The main thing about this post-processing of this image is to subtly drive the light down, mute it a bit, not to over darken it and make it too over processed looking. So that's the whole point of it. As I said, the image does look good by itself anyway, and I don't know if I'd complain too much about showing that image as it is, but you know, there is, you know, some slight imperfections I can tidy up a little bit. So I'm going to press the develop again, and I'm going to they're called the global adjustments. That's everything that changes the image. So what I do is just look around the image and see if there's anything there that's going to distract. And as I say, this is pretty much the worst thing here at the top. I've got these little kind of branches coming to the sides, etc., because they're not overly powering as the part of the left hand corner here. So what I'm going to do is just mainly to control the light a little bit. Now, what I mean by that is I can't use, no, it's a 1:1 crop in camera. I just shoot this on my Nikon D850 at 1:1, and having in mind that, you know, because I looked at the image and I thought I only want to get this tree in, you know, it's a no-brainer. Zoomed in at about 200mm actually, and I just wanted to get this tree. So everything else around it is just you know, really the light control, because the light was actually showing the tree off, and I did like that. So what I'm going to do is I'll hit the masking tool button at the top there. Now, normally what you would do is you would hit subject. Now, because this image, as you see, is a lot of light, kind of dampened light everywhere. So it's up the top there, it's across there, but it's not over the whole part of the image. This may struggle to find the subject. So to give an example, if I press subject, yeah, it says no subject detected. Couldn't find a subject to select. There may not be a prominent object in the photo, and as I say, because it's not prominent, it's because it's a light it's looking at as a subject, so it can't differentiate the light from the subject itself. This is a subject here, this is a light which goes across there, but these are two separate images, so there's no subject that it can find. So my second option will just be gradient. Now the gradient itself, I will just pull it over the subject. Now, having in mind this will be inverted, so it's not going to be over the tree, if that makes sense. The darkness is going to be behind the trees, you know. So it's not going to be over the tree, the darkness is going around the sides. And I don't want it too much in a way that you can actually see a difference, so I'm going to pull out I'm just going to pull out the filter a little bit more. There we go. And you hit on the top there what you've selected, right click, and it's got invert. So you invert the mask. There we go. Now as you see there, I'm only going for the corners really, because everything else is fine. So the first thing you do, of course, exposure is the main thing you want to drag down. And then I want to drag the highlights down a little bit, because I don't want to make it look too dark. The white's down a little bit there. So it's just enough just to stop the distraction. I probably could bring it just a slight bit down there, but yeah, about there. You know, I'm just a bit afraid to make it look too over processed. Now what that's done straight away is, of course there's not much difference you can see, but if I'm going to go into before and after there, so I'll just come out with that. So I'll just go to before and after. So subtle changes, as I said. Now looking at that, you think there's nothing done at all. So the only thing I've done, if you look here, I've just kind of muted the light a little bit. I like to call it muted as opposed to darkened it. It is darkened, but it's not black. So I just wanted to take away the distraction of that. That was too noticeable. This, I think your kind of eye is more strongly on this now. Because this here, if you look at this image here, you can just see that your eye kind of just moves up to here in this corner. So I'm quite happy just using this image here. And as you see, it's worked out quite well in the way I want it. Now what I want to do is paint a bit of light into it, but not paint in the places where there's no light, if that makes sense. So the first part I'm going to do is, yeah, I'm just going to click back onto the gradient filter, go to the brush and paint just little bits of light. So I'm just going to bring the exposure up a little bit there, not too much, but 32 maybe. Now there is light there in the back there. Important just to keep it there and not to go over here. Just keep it a bit there and just bring the light there a bit where the light is. And that's pretty much it, I think. There's nothing really much. Now, if I was to make the image look more natural, it is natural. Now, if I want to make the light blend more, I would have to come down here and slightly lighten this light, not to the extent of this, but just to make it look more kind of in tune with the picture itself that it was before. And I'm just going to create another mask, choose a brush, just bring the exposure, not even much, just 10 will do, 8 will do, let's go 8, and just slightly go over the paint in the places there that are supposed to be light as well. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Yeah, that's fine, I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to close that down now and go around the image. Yeah, the colours are fine. There's nothing there that's distracting as much. Now you can still see that tree up there, but I'm not overly concerned. These small imperfections is not a problem because the light is pretty much driving your eye to the centre of the picture itself. So I'll put this image up just on the screen just now. But I'm just curious to proving the point where you can actually do some slight adjustments. You know, you don't have to do heavily editing images if you've got it right in camera, but you want to just drive down the light a little bit. You know, you only need to use so many tools. You don't have to use go into different applications, etc. It can all be done in one place in Lightroom. Now, I know there's different types of software I use. I use DxO Photolabs Ning, and I also have Luminar, which I do use these for certain types of images. I don't just use Lightroom, and each one of those have got their own way of things that I use that benefits my images, depending on the image and depending on how much post-processing and what you do. But you know, the less post-processing is always good. We always drive for that. Sometimes I can't do every image like this. I would love to, but it's just a case of controlling the light and that's it. Sometimes you have to do a bit more colour in it, more punch in it. So you know, other applications does work a little bit better. You can use Lightroom as your sole editing tool and just use extensions with other types of software which you want to like do better layer masking or just driving up the luminosities a bit better in other applications. There's so many different things you can use with other applications as well, which benefit. But Lightroom itself does the bread and butter of the image. Just get rid of that. And that's the importance I'm trying to get through to this video is, you know, there's so much competition, and when you're used to one software, it's very difficult to go to another type of post-processing tool, but it's important also to try them. And I will be doing more DxO Photolab Ning edits again in the future, but at the moment these images only require slight adjustments from Lightroom, and that's why I've done this video. It's just to show you that. So anyway, we're going to wrap up there, and guys, I will be back a week on Sunday, and also I'll be in my new office, and also I'll be out in the field as well doing some photography. So anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, cheerio, bye.